Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
ChatGPT is all over the news, and there's all kinds of cutting-edge things being done. So now we hear, and this is fascinating, an Australian mayor is readying the world's first defamation lawsuit over ChatGPT content. Now, Byron Cave wrote this for Reuters, and it is out of Australia, but it could have happened anywhere, okay? A regional Australian mayor said he may have to sue OpenAI if it does not correct ChatGPT's false claims that he had served time in prison for bribery in what would be the first defamation lawsuit against the automated text service. So apparently, if you go into ChatGPT, punch in this guy's name and say, tell me something about this guy, ChatGPT will whip you up something that says, oh yeah, he served time in prison, which he never did. But it's an interesting question because, number one, ChatGPT is not a person. So it's not really saying anything the same way a person says something. Because you can hold a person liable for what they say. This is simply a device that's spitting out words like a magic 8-ball. Slightly better than a magic 8-ball, but Brian Hood, who was elected mayor of a small town northwest of Melbourne last November, became concerned about his reputation when members of the public told him that ChatGPT had falsely named him as a guilty party in a foreign bribery scandal involving a subsidiary of the Reserve Bank of Australia in the early 2000s. Now, this actually raises the first question. ChatGPT is not just sitting there talking, and you can just listen to it. Oh, look what hey, dude, ChatGPT is talking about you today. I believe it responds to prompts, meaning that people ask it something. So if it says something in response to a prompt, the question is what was the prompt and who asked the prompt? So Hood did work for the subsidiary of the bank, but he was the person who notified authorities about payment of bribes to foreign officials and was never charged with a crime. So ChatGPT is just grabbing factoids out of a story, slapping them together and going, there you go, this guy, bribery, bank, whatever. And probably sticking some verbs in there, you know? The lawyers for the mayor said they sent a letter of concern to ChatGPT owner OpenAI on March 21st, which gave them 28 days to fix the errors about their client or face a possible defamation lawsuit. And so a letter of concern, I'm guessing, is similar to a cease and desist. OpenAI, which is based in San Francisco, had not yet responded to that letter, according to lawyers. OpenAI did not respond to Reuters either when sent an email asking them about the story. Now, if the mayor sues, they believe it would be the first time a person has sued the owner of ChatGPT for statements made by the automated language, which has become wildly popular since its launch last year. Now, interestingly, Reuters used the word claims. He sued the owner of ChatGPT for claims made by. But the question is ChatGPT making a claim or is it simply spitting out words? Because a claim indicates that the speaker has a belief about the statement. And ChatGPT cannot have beliefs about statements it's making. It is simply generating language. It is just cranking out words. So Microsoft integrated ChatGPT into its search engine Bing in February. And a Microsoft spokesperson was not immediately available for comment either. Now, a partner at a law firm said it would potentially be a landmark moment in the sense that it's applying this defamation law to a new area of artificial intelligence and publication in the IT space. Now, here's the question. To have a case of defamation, okay, keep in mind that defamation, generally speaking, is one of two things, libel or slander. Slander is spoken. Think of the two words with the S. Slander is spoken. Libel has the I in it. So libel is writing. Writing has an I in it, or written. So if it's written, it's libel. If it's spoken, it's slander. So we'll talk about the elements of that in a second because there is a big issue here with suing a chatbot. He's an elected official. His reputation is central to his role, the lawyer says. And the mayor relied on a public record of shining a light on corporate misconduct, so it makes a difference to him if people in his community are accessing this material. So the question is, where is the material and who's accessing it and why? In other words, every time you ask ChatGPT about this guy, does it go, oh yeah, he's a criminal? Or do you have to ask it certain things? Or did somebody take something this thing wrote and post it someplace else? Because the question then becomes, isn't the person who posted it somewhere else, aren't they the ones making the statement? So Australian defamation damages payouts are generally capped around $400,000 Australian, which is about $270 American. The mayor did not know the exact number of people who had access to the false information about him, and that would help determine the payout size. But the nature of the defamatory statements was serious enough that he may claim more than $200,000 Australian, his attorney says. If he files a lawsuit, it would accuse ChatGPT of giving users a false sense of accuracy by failing to include footnotes. So apparently they're saying if it simply had footnotes and gave you references, then that might be okay. But the attorney says it's very difficult for somebody to look behind that to say, how does the algorithm come up with that answer? It's very opaque. So to prove a case of defamation, the plaintiff, here the mayor, would have to show four things. A false statement purported to be a fact, publication or communication of that statement to a third person, fault on the behalf of the speaker to at least negligence levels, and then damages that resulted. But the important one here is publication or communication of that statement. Is ChatGPT just contacting people? Hey, did you hear about the mayor? Hey, did you hear about the mayor? And so I've seen things that are generated by ChatGPT only because humans sent them to me. Now, there might come a time when Skynet starts contacting us directly and possibly chasing us down the street. But as of right now, my understanding is that ChatGPT is a tool where you go there, give it a writing prompt, and it writes something for you. So if you go there, give it a writing prompt, and it says something to you, and then you take that and show it to somebody else, you're the one who's publishing the statement, okay? And again, we're talking about the actual elements here of slander or libel. Publication or communication of that statement to a third person. Now, if you're going to say, but Steve, let's suppose that I'm not the mayor, and I ask ChatGPT a prompt, and I go, is the mayor a criminal? And ChatGPT says, yes, he's a criminal all day long. Who made that statement? Because I'm sure you understand that ChatGPT is simply a program. It's a computer program. It's a very, very advanced and complicated computer program. It costs a lot of money to make, and a lot of people had to build it. But it's just a computer program. It's not a person. Okay? And so, although you would sue ChatGPT and its owners, the entity that's actually making the statement or publishing the statement, in that case, would be the people who own the program, who created it to do that. Okay? And I know that people are not going to like this analogy, but it is a magic 8-ball with just a lot more sides on the thing inside the magic 8-ball. And so if you shook the magic 8-ball and you jokingly asked it a question, and the side came up and it goes, yeah, that mayor is a criminal, you don't sue the magic 8-ball. You sue the people who made the magic 8-ball. Okay, so I understand that someone would say, Steve, there's really no distinction here. Well, there is, because they're talking about, and all the headlines I've seen have said that someone is suing ChatGPT or is considering suing ChatGPT for something it said about them. And of course, the Reuters headline has it correct because it doesn't say in the headline who he's suing, but he's going to be suing the makers of it. So Australian mayor readies world's first defamation lawsuit over ChatGPT content. So this is one of the things, I had some long discussions about this with some friends of mine. And obviously ChatGPT has been released in such a way that people can use it. So they came to the conclusion that, okay, it's at a stage where it can be used. The question is, do you need to fine tune anything about it? And one of the problems that it appears to have is it has a difficult time discerning between competing statements. So if you go out there right now, and in the grand scheme of things, let's suppose you did a Google search and you looked up, we'll get back to this cup. You looked up what color is that cup on Steve's desk. And one site says it's blue, one site says it's green and one site says it's red. When ChatGPT is out there looking for information about this, and it finds these three different things, it's blue, it's green, it's red, it apparently doesn't know how to determine which of those is correct. Whereas you or I would start looking at photographs or asking other people, or we look at the source. Is one source more credible than another? And I'm a historian. I write books on history. I've written like 15 books, and most of them are history books. And I've encountered absolutely diametrically opposed statements where they cannot both be true, and one is the counter of the other. And I've got to figure out which one is correct. And usually you can with a lot of work, and sometimes you can't. But this cup has no red in it. Okay, none. So if ChatGPT said, well, that cup on Steve Lehto's desk is red, that would be an incorrect statement. And so they're going to have to, I believe going forward, the makers of this, they're going to have to figure out a way to build into the algorithm a way it can spot that there are opposing viewpoints and how it picks a winner. But it's also going to have to be taught somehow not to slander or libel people. Because if you were to make the statement and say this person who was convicted of murder is a murderer, that person has a hard time coming after you for defamation. Because if they've been convicted of murder, then pretty much calling them a murderer will not get you in trouble. However, if you were charged with murder and found not guilty by a jury of your peers because there was no evidence at all, if ChatGPT comes out and goes, yeah, but he's still a murderer, well, then you got problems. So I suspect it's back to the drawing boards on some levels for these guys who developed this, and gals. But we'll have to see. But as of right now, the mayor is saying that he might have to sue the makers of ChatGPT because if you ask it, it'll tell you that he's a criminal, when in fact he was a whistleblower with respect to the crime. So Reuters published a story, Byron Cave wrote it. Australian mayor readies world's first defamation lawsuit over ChatGPT content. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. It is not the mountain we conquer, but ourselves.